Hello, lovelies. So today I want to talk about two lovely dogs who completely different breeds who had the same behavior struggle and how it worked out and why. Now, one of the dogs I'm going to say was a Swiss Shepherd, beautiful dog, absolutely stunning looking, and the other one was a little mini Dachshund. So let's talk about the Swiss Shepherd. So both dogs found approaching people created anxiety. Now, this is actually quite common, a lot more common than people give their dogs credit for. And with the Swiss Shepherd, they were coming down a hill, so I was kind of slightly below them, and I could see the dog in front of me. He saw me. He kind of stiffened a little bit. He started yawning. There's a little bit of side eye going on there, so it was very, very clear that the dog was going to struggle with walking past me. So obviously, I stepped out of the way, stepped in between a couple of cars so that the dog could walk past me, which he did. He was a little bit of a grumble under his breath, and he walked on without any kind of issue. With the Dachshund, it was slightly different. So we were in the park and I was walking to the gym, I'll have you know, and the little Dachshund clearly wasn't very happy about me walking ahead. And before I knew it, he was under my feet and he was barking at me. He didn't bite me, but he was barking at me, and he was being a little bit aggressive. Now, what was the difference between these two interactions? Why did one go off with absolutely no drama whatsoever, and why was the second one more of a problem? The reason is equipment. The Swiss Shepherd was being walked on a crossbody lead, 2-point lead. The owner had the dog completely under control. The dog felt secure. The dog knew what its job was. It was walking on, and the owner just had this dog and it sailed on past quite happily with a small command from the owner, which was just basically walk on. The Dachshund, on the other hand, was on a Flexi lead, so he had complete freedom to run up to me, to be aggressive, and to get into basically a negative interaction. So I want to talk today about the pros and cons of using a Flexi lead. Now, if you're not sure what a Flexi lead is, I'll put a picture up on the screen. So it's one of these leads that has a big plastic handle, and it has like a spool inside it, and you clip it to the dog and the dog can kind of move away from you. Some of them the dog can move about 20 foot away from you, so your dog can kind of run about a little bit more, can get more exercise and potentially have more freedom. Now, I totally understand why people use them. I understand what they think is happening with a Flexi lead, that they get the benefit of having their dog under control and their dog getting more exercise and as I say, getting more freedom. So I want to look at the pros and cons of this. What is actually happening when you use a Flexi lead, and possibly why they're not such a good idea, and what we can do instead. So I got into a discussion, I think probably on our Facebook group, about Flexi leads, and the comment was they're okay if you use them properly. But the thing is, there isn't a way to use them properly. They are, you either have your dog by your side or you have your dog 20 foot away from you. And this is what these leads allow. They allow your dog to be 20 foot away from you. If your dog is that far away from you, you do not have your dog under control. Now, take that out of the equation into itself. If your dog is reactive and gets into a difficult situation with another dog, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to flick the button and the dog comes back to you and there's no problem? That is not how they work. Now, what you have is your dog on a line that is not designed to break. Okay, so you have your dog 20 foot away from you. Now, this interaction might not be your dog's fault. Your dog might not have instigated it. He might just be the victim of another dog being really stressed, or he may have run up and aggress the other dog. Actually, why the negative interaction happened actually doesn't really matter. So you have your dog, it's 20 foot away from you, and it's having a bad interaction, and it's aggressing or trying to defend itself from another dog. So what you have is this long, unbreakable lead and an excited and anxious dog running round and round either this other dog or this other dog's owner on a lead, on a line that can cut to the bone. So these lines are not designed to break, because if they broke, then they would be literally no point in having them whatsoever. So not only do you not have your dog under any sort of control, but if there is any kind of interaction, your dog could end up quite severely injured. Now, for a small dog like a Chihuahua, if that wire gets wrapped around their legs, you're looking at a break. Okay, if you've got a bigger dog and they rag your dog, what on earth are you going to do if that dog is just kind of all wrapped up in this wire? You get the picture. So first of all, your dog isn't under control, and then secondly, if your dog does get into an interaction with another dog, having your dog on this line is not making them safer. You cannot just get them back in by pressing a button, and you are introducing the danger of an unbreakable wire or cord that can cut to the bone. So another good reason we don't use Flexi leads, and trainers generally don't like Flexi leads at all, I've never met one myself who does, is it doesn't teach your dog anything. So if you have a dog that won't stay with you, putting it on a Flexi lead doesn't teach it not to stay with you. It doesn't give the dog any information about what it's meant to be doing, and it is just going to go to the end of the lead, and it's just going to be straining against the lead, running about like that. So it doesn't give the dog any information. It doesn't help them learn to stay with you when you're on a walk. It doesn't teach them any recall, because again, if you're working on recall, and I don't recommend that, we would generally work on proximity, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. But if you're working on recall, if where your dog is, whether they're on a line or not, where they are has more value than you, they are not going to come back to you until they are good and ready, because the value and balance isn't correct. The dog is sniffing something, eating something they shouldn't eat, or doing something that's just generally more interesting than you, and you call them, not going to come back to you until they are good and ready. So a Flexi lead doesn't teach your dog anything. It doesn't give them any information about how they should be behaving out on the walk. Now, another problem with them is if you drop the handle, these handles are really heavy and they're really thick. So if there is a problem and your dog gets spooked and you drop the handle and your dog charges off, you've then got an upset dog with, I don't know how much they weigh. I mean, they must weigh, I don't know, half a kilo. I don't really know, of heavy, noisy plastic bouncing along behind your dog. And that is going to spook your dog even more. Okay, they're going to be really concerned about this massive noisy lump of plastic jumping, bouncing along behind them. So if dropping it can be a really big problem, and they are quite bulky. So actually managing them, especially if you've got multiple dogs, can be quite a problem. So I feel Flexi leads give owners a false sense of security. And while I understand why they use them and why people think they're a good idea, because they give that dog a little bit more freedom, etc., when you actually look at the consequences of there being a problem, you can start to see why they are not the answer. So if Flexi leads aren't the answer, what is? What is it that we can do to take the place of the Flexi lead so that we get better, safer, calmer walks with our Chihuahua? So if your dog can't be off lead for whatever reason, okay, now that could be because your dog won't stay with you, because your dog is super reactive, or because there's critters that make it not safe, or the environment in general is not safe for your dog to be off the lead, then your dog should be by your side. Okay, they absolutely should not be 20 foot away from you. So your dog should be on a fixed lead by your side. So there's a couple of things you can do to switch the idea around. Rather than have this bulky handle in your hand and the dog and you trying to manage that, you should be walking crossbody on a crossbody lead with your dog at your side. Now, if the environment isn't safe for your dog to be off lead, but you want them to have more freedom, then you change the environment. Okay, you maybe hire a field. I don't know if that's a thing in other countries, but in the UK, you can hire a dog walking field where it's only you, obviously, and your dogs, and there are no other dogs there. So, and they're normally secure fields. So you change the environment. Then the other way you look at this is you train the dog. You decide what you want your dog to do and you train that. Now, in this case, it would be building a proximity zone around you. Now, a proximity zone is literally a bubble around you that your dog doesn't leave, whether they're on lead or whether they're off lead. Now, if I'm out with my dogs, they don't go more than a couple of yards away from me unless I give them what we call a pre-mat cue, which is walk on. Okay, so I will decide, I will look at the environment, I will decide, yeah, okay, it's perfectly safe. You can bog off and you can do some dog stuff, and I will call you back if I'm concerned. So I have, first of all, built a strong proximity zone around me. I've then built a pre-mat cue, which tells my dogs, you can go off, okay, that's okay. And then on top of that, I have built a very, very strong recall so that my dogs will turn on a sixpence and come back to me if I call them. So what I suggest is, if you find yourself working using a flexi lead, look at the reasons why you have a flexi lead. What is it about your dog walk that makes you feel you have to have a flexi lead? And really, really look at, is it giving you a false sense of security? Is it making you think that you're in a much safer position with your dog than you actually really are? Then work on the problem. Train your dog. Now, we have a program, it's totally free, that you can join, which is our focus challenge, which will help you build this strong proximity zone around you, so that when you're out and about, regardless of whether your dog is on lead or off lead, your dog will stay with you. So I will put the link to that in the comments below, so you can just jump into that. And there are 3 videos, maybe 4, can't quite remember, that will teach you how to create value in your dog staying with you, rather than the minute you let them off the lead, they're off and they're running away, which is quite often the main reason that people do put their dogs on these flexi leads. I actually want to add this in as well, which I probably should have added in a bit further up the video, but another reason flexi leads that can cause a problem is not necessarily for your dog, but for dogs that struggle with dog-dog interactions. Again, that is very Chihuahua. Okay, they're not always particularly very happy to have other dogs come up and visit them. So if you've got your dog on a flexi lead, you have literally no control over that. So you're walking along and your dog decides, I'm going to go and visit that dog over there, and they have the complete freedom to do that. And when you're out walking with your dog, people need to understand it isn't just about your dog. It's about other people's dogs and the damage that your dog going up to them can cause that other dog's confidence. So if you've got a flexi lead, look at why you're using it, what skills your dog needs so that you can ditch it and make changes to your environment while you teach your dog the skills they need to stay with you on your walk. And as ever, never, and I see people do this all the time, ever walk your dog on a flexi lead near the road, because as you walk down, and I've seen people on their phone, da, 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 and their dog's all over the place. Okay. When you're next to a road, the dog should be on a short, fixed lead walking at your side. Okay. No discussion. The dog should never be off lead. I don't care how well behaved or well trained you think your dog is. If you're by the road, your dog should be on a lead. Okay, so drop in to our focus challenge and teach your dog the skill of proximity, and you can then start to expect calmer walks where your dog can stay with you and you can have a lot more fun when you're out and about. As ever, if you found this helpful, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you've got any comments, just leave them below. And if you've got any questions, then please put them in to the comments and I will come back to you. Okie doke. So bye for now.